All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's Wednesday, September the 27th, the year 2017. This book, Blind Injustice by Mark Godsey, is just a powerhouse of truth. On page 97, it talks about fingerprint comparisons and how confirmation bias in the fingerprint comparison experts can dramatically affect the outcome as to whether the fingerprints are a match or not the scientific, purely scientific data, but the actual confirmation bias of the expert. And so you can find different experts to give different results. He goes on to talk about bite mark comparisons, microscopic hair comparisons, tire tread comparisons, ballistic fingerprinting, blood spatter analysis, and a host of other forensic disciplines are equally, if not more, subject to skewed results from confirmation bias. But that's not the worst of it. These 3 paragraphs right here just blew me away, and I had to make a YouTube video and just read it into YouTube. On page 102 it says, "In Making of a Murderer, the way the forensic experts had been preconditioned by the prosecution to give the answers that confirm the prosecution's theory of the case brought to the public's consciousness what those of us in the innocence movement had known for years, that confirmation bias is a problem in our criminal justice system, and that it affects even supposedly neutral scientists. In some jurisdictions, it gets even worse. Lab technicians are not only told the right answer before they begin, but they have a financial incentive." Let me read that again. "But they have a financial incentive to provide that answer to law enforcement. Indeed, some jurisdictions provide the lab with an additional fee taken out of the defendant's court cost." So they make the defendant pay for it, which kicks in only if the defendant is convicted. In others, forensic scientists receive formal kudos within their department for helping the police and prosecutors get convictions, as reflected in the minutes of the crime lab meetings in Houston. A lab technician in Ohio, whose work may have led to several wrongful convictions, including the conviction of my client, James Parsons, favored the prosecution so much that her personnel file even contained comments to that effect, written by her supervisors. In my opinion, if a lab supervisor actually puts in writing that a lab technician goes too far to help the prosecution, it has to be bad, really bad. Indeed, she was even overheard on the phone asking cops, "What do you need the evidence to say?" Cops and prosecutors loved her, though. One thank you note in her personnel file, among many others of equal enthusiasm, said, "If you were here right now, I would give you a heartfelt hug and kiss for Valentine's Day. You helped me more than you will ever know." That was a note from a prosecutor to a lab technician, who the lab technician was known for favoring the prosecution and producing the results that the prosecution wanted. This book exposes our criminal justice system and talks about these so-called experts and how they're influenced by confirmation bias from the prosecution. When the prosecution turns in the work to be done, they'll tell them what the expected answer is, and that we need this bullet to be found a match for this gun with this particular DNA, and that sets the confirmation bias in the mind of the so-called neutral expert, who is not neutral at all. This book is a powerhouse of information about how people get wrongly convicted. The more I read, the more impressed I am that this Mark Godsey has put all this in writing. I pray that you get a chance to read the book as well. I'm just on page 103. The book has, hold on, I'll tell you exactly how many pages. The book has 254 pages, so I'm not even halfway done yet. But so far, I'm incredibly impressed. Take care. The last line of peaceful defense between a tyrannical government and the defendant is jury nullification. Educate yourself about jury nullification at fija.org.